belief is real wealth is mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, relational, and financial. That's real wealth. In order to have that be great, you have to understand the power of momentum. So if you're jotting some notes down, this is one you want to write down. This is why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. This is what I call the momentum model. I work with a lot of athletes. I know some of my friends out in China are big basketball fans these days. NBA has really grown, and your own basketball has really grown. I work with some of the greatest players in history. Michael Jordan, to give you an idea, if you know anything about basketball history. If you know the Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry and that team, I worked with them. I have 4 NBA championship rings, to give you an idea personally. So I work with some of the greatest athletes on earth. And in every sport, just like every business, just like you starting in this business, or maybe you got momentum initially and you lost momentum. And it's hard sometimes to start it back up. How many can relate in some way to your life or your business, right? So momentum is everything. In sports, you see it because there's a team that's dominating, and then sometimes there's a spark. Somebody changes their state and goes crazy. They steal the ball, they do something, and all of a sudden the momentum changes, and you feel like now the team that was losing, they have the momentum. And oftentimes, momentum is the difference between success and failure. And in business, the hardest part is the beginning and then sustaining that momentum. And that's why most people don't make it in business. Let's be honest, they just don't. They dabble, they try something, it's uncomfortable, they don't feel like it, they want to wait till they feel good. Remember, I don't care how you feel, just do it. Do it, do it, do it, and you're gonna feel good. Don't feel good to do it. Now, you can change your state and feel better right away. It'll get you to do things. But you gotta understand momentum. So I'm gonna show it to you, because this is what I work with every athlete, every multi-billionaire that I've ever worked with who calls me and they got a challenge in their business or a challenge in their personal life. And I want you to jot it down. I want you to draw on the screen here, I'll throw it up here for you, 4 squares. And 4 squares, 2 on top, 2 directly on the bottom. Jot them down if you would. Draw it down for yourself. And then in those 4 squares, I want you to write 4 words. 2 squares on top, 2 below. In the top left square, I want you to write the word potential. In the top right square, I want you to write the word action. Bottom right square, the word results. And then the bottom left square, the word certainty or belief. So it's potential, action, results, certainty, or belief, 4 squares, and then draw arrows between them going clockwise. So it'll show you there is a direct sequence to this, right? It should look like that. So 4 squares, 2 on top, 2 on the bottom, potential, action, results, certainty, or belief, and it's going clockwise. All right? You got that? Look up, signifying the fact you have completed this part of the process. Good. Watching you guys on the screen, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Anastasia and Christian, it looks like, from Toronto, Canada. Nice to see you guys. All right, you guys got it? So now let me ask you a question. Take a look at this with me for a moment. What is the potential of any human being? What's the potential of a human being joining this business? Could anyone in this business, I'm not saying they will, could anyone in this business learn the skills, even if they're not good at first, even if they have no background, even if they have no money but $49, I think it is for a starter kit, isn't it? Right? And they just start like that. Is it possible for that person to grow a business where they could have an income while they're sleeping that's more than they could while they're working? Yes or no? Could they have a great time? Could they make a difference in other people's lives? So what is the potential of any human being? The potential is almost unlimited. I don't know if it's completely unlimited, but most of us, our limited potential is not the potential, it's our psychology. How many follow what I'm talking about here? Say aye. So the potential's amazing. Do most people's results reflect the level of potential they have? Yes or no? No. What people can do is amazing. What people will do is often disappointing. And if you don't realize that by now, get in this business for a few years, you'll learn, right? Because that's how it works. It's not because we can't. It's because the challenge is not a potential challenge. What's the challenge? Why aren't most people succeeding to the level they desire and really want in their life? Why would you say? Yeah, I hear a few say, well, they're not taking enough what? Action. And there's great truth in that. Jot down, massive action is a cure-all. Massive action is a cure-all. It's unbelievable what you can accomplish when you stop trying to do everything perfect and you just do a ton of everything to figure it out. However, this is important, however, if you take massive action, but you don't believe it's gonna work, You're like, oh, I don't think I'm good enough. Let me knock on 100 doors and ask people. You wouldn't want to buy this shit from me, would you? You don't say that verbally, but your body says it. How many know what I'm talking about here, right? Because you're uncertain. If you do that with 100 people, you still might get lousy results. You'll get some results because someone's going to feel sorry for you and say, I don't want your kids to starve, I'll buy your shit, right? But the bottom line is, your belief is the single most powerful factor. It creates or destroys your success. It creates or destroys your energy. If you don't believe that it's going to work, or you partially believe, which means you don't believe, right? Like, I'd like it to work, I hope it works. That's not believing. A belief is a feeling of absolute certainty. If you have absolute certainty, when you watch if you ever watched an athlete, like a basketball player, go up to shoot a free throw, and you say, he's gonna miss it. Or a football player, some of you watch football, and they're going for a kick, and before they get up the kick, you know they're gonna miss it, and they do. Who's ever seen this on sports, on television or in person, where you knew the person was gonna fail and they did? Raise your hand if you've done it. How did you know? You could see they were lacking certainty. You could see it in the body, can't you? When somebody's uncertain, they don't execute. Not fully, not completely. So we don't need to work on a potential, my friends. And certainly we can always work on action. But if you want new results, you have to develop a new sense of certainty or belief. Now, sometimes that's hard because you say, Tony, okay, I get it, but I'm brand new. And it's like, I've tried shit, it's not working. And nothing seems to be working. I don't know what to do. In that state of uncertainty where you're focused on it not working, it's going to keep not working. Because, watch this, if you think you're uncertain, you can tap a lot of potential. Are you going to take and tap a lot of potential when you don't think it's going to work? Yes or no? No. And are you going to take massive action on your potential if you don't think it's likely to work? No, nobody wants to be disappointed. So what do most people do? They pull back and go, I tried. Tried is you went through the motions of action, but you did not use your certainty to tap your potential. You didn't take massive action, and so you got lousy results. Does that make sense? How to build belief, I'll answer that question. Good question, I see you there. So watch this. If I have limited certainty it's not gonna work, I'm gonna take little potential, I'm gonna take little action, and what kind of result am I gonna get? Crappy little results. And then what does that do to your belief when you get little or lousy results? Your brain goes, see, I told you it's not working, I told you it's too tough, I told you I'm not made for it. Now you have less belief, you test less potential, you take even less action because you don't think it's gonna work, you get even worse results. See, I told you it's the company, it's those people, it's my upline, it's my mother-in-law, it's something, right? And now you believe even less, and now you're on the downward spiral. Who has ever been in this place somewhere in your life where you're on the downward spiral, where things weren't working and it seemed to be getting worse? Who knows what I'm talking about here? That's negative momentum. But watch this. How can we turn this around? I know many of you are saying, well, how do I change my belief? That feels like a tough thing to change because it's in your head. I want to show you a simple thing that every great athlete I've ever worked with, and I've worked with some of the greatest in history, all do. All of them. They understand that to tap that potential action results, I got to have more belief, but if they're not getting the result, where's the belief come from? You've got to get results in advance. You have to see, hear, feel, and know in your body over and over again the result you want until your brain believes it, and when it does, everything changes. But it's like, I'll believe it when I see it. People say that? No, when you believe it, you'll see it. I'll see it when you believe it. People confuse those two. I want to show you what I mean. Stand up just for a moment. Everybody at home, please stand up. Let's do a little exercise together. It's real simple. Put your notebook down if you would, stand up. And I'd like you to just try something really simple with me, okay? I want you to put your feet together, touching straight ahead, okay? And then I want you to bring your right index finger straight in front of you like this. Now keep your feet together. Don't move your feet. They're gonna stay straight. And when I say now, you're gonna turn comfortably slowly and just notice where you naturally stop, okay? Go. Keep your feet straight. Notice where you stop. Okay, come back around. Take your finger out of your neighbor's ear. Drop your finger. And in a moment, I'm gonna ask you to close your eyes. I'll show you. I want you to imagine the finger comes up. Don't actually do it, but in your mind, imagine it coming up, and you're gonna turn twice as far without your feet turning. So close your eyes, and just imagine it going twice as far. And it's effortless. Don't actually do it, but in your mind do it where it feels like your hand came up and it just went 3 times as far. And then drop the hand in your mind, And then do it again and go 4 times as far. Finger comes up in your mind. Don't actually do it, just in your mind. And see and feel yourself turning even further. And every time you do it, feel like you're a little kid. Like, you know when you're a little kid and you go, measure me, Mom, measure me, Dad, I'm taller. And they go, I measured you last week. I think I'm taller, right? You go, now do it one more time in your mind where your feet stay straight and you go all the way around like an owl. You go clockwise until you end all the way in the front and your feet are still straight. And it feels fun. You like to go further every time. Further and further, easier and easier. Okay? Now open your eyes, keep your feet together. Bring your finger in front of you. Now turn as far as you can comfortably and see how far you go this time. Ooh. Where'd those moans come from? How many went sizably further this time? Raise your hand if you went sizably further. How many of you went at least 25% further this time? Raise your hand. Okay, grab a seat and answer this question for me if you would. Grab a seat, thank you. And as you sit down, answer this question. As we look at this graphic up on the screen again, tell me, did you have the potential to turn as far as you did the second time, the first time? Could you have gone further the first time? Yes or no? Why didn't you? Because even though you're not aware of it, you have beliefs about how far you can even turn. They're subconscious. So how do we change your belief? We didn't work on the belief. We got your brain to imagine the result vividly just a few times where it got better and better, and your brain went, oh, I know this. And it went 25% further. That is the game of your business. That is the game of your relationship. That is the game of your life. Without a vision, people perish. It says in a very good book called The Good Book, right? And every religion on earth and every philosophy of earth has something related to this. So for us to get further, we've got to not only have a vision, but we've got to make it real. And so that's hard, I know, in the beginning. No, it's not. It's easy because you haven't done much yet to screw it up, right? And if you have done something to screw it up, you want to turn it around, you got to return to that vision of what's going to excite you. And you got to see and feel the result over and over again, because watch what happens. What changed? All we did was by getting you to imagine the result. Now remember this. The human mind, the brain, does not know the difference between something you vividly imagine and something you actually experience. So when you vividly imagine it, you felt more certain. So you tapped more potential. So you took more action. So you got a better result. And by the way, now that you got a better result, your brain goes, see, I told you I'm a stud or studette. I told you I could make this happen. I told you I was made for this business. I told you I can turn further. By the way, how many feel like you could go further if we did this again? You find a way to go even further the next time. Yes, because you get momentum. Because now your brain goes, I got the result. Oh, I can do even more. I can tap more potential. I can take more action. And this is how you become diamond or double or triple. This is how you get the life that you deserve. Because all the people I'm getting to see in this room, there's just 42 of them and some beautiful cutouts. Right? All these people in this room have done it. They're not here. They didn't buy a ticket. They got here because they produced results. So we got to honor all of them. And they're all here as role models for you. That doesn't mean they're perfect. None of us are perfect. I'm not perfect. Right? Scott might be perfect, but the rest of us aren't. Right? The bottom line is, we all have to create momentum. And this is why the rich get rich and the poor get poor. Do you ever notice how happy people tend to get more happy? And depressed people get more depressed? Do you ever notice how angry people get more angry? And grateful people get more grateful? That's momentum. There is nothing more important than energy and momentum, and they match together in who you are. But you have to train yourself to do this because we all have a challenge. You know what it is? Every one of us has a 2 million-year-old brain. And this brain inside here was not designed to make you happy. It was designed to make you survive. And so survival is what you get. Why? This brain of ours, if you don't run it, if you don't take charge of it, the survival brain that used to make sure that a saber-toothed tiger didn't get you, and it trained you to always look for what's wrong, what could hurt you. And then you're ready so you can fight, or you can flight, or you can freeze and hope you don't get noticed. That part of your brain is always looking to fight, flight, or freeze. And that's the one that you have to deal with in your business. If you don't conquer that part of your brain, when I say conquer, it'll always mess with you a little bit, but conquer means it doesn't control you. Conquer means you shape it, that if it starts to take over, you realize it, and you change your state. You change your emotion, and I'm gonna show you how to do that today. So you're no longer gonna have to be like, I don't know what to do. You'll be able to make the shift. But this brain, it's looking for what's wrong. That's why you see so many people who even have succeeded. They have more money than God. They have a great family. They have great friends. They have great everything. And they go, I know I should be happy, but I don't know what's going on. It's because they haven't continued to grow. By the way, if you ask me right now, people ask me every day of my life, hey, you've met tens of millions of people, you've worked with some of the most successful people on earth. What does it take to be happy? One word, progress. Jot it down. Progress equals happiness. Progress equals happiness. It's not what you get that's gonna make you happy. As my friend Jim Rohn used to say, it's who you become, right? What you get's never gonna make you happy. Who you become is gonna make you very happy or very sad. And if we are constantly growing in this area, if we're making progress, like if you're overweight and you just start working out, and you don't even lose a lot of weight, but you just start to feel better energetically, you're gonna feel happy. You're gonna feel progress. If your relationship's not where you want it and you finally, instead of avoiding it, try to handle it and make some progress, it's still not perfect, progress will make you feel alive. We're made so we grow. Everything in the universe grows or it what? Dies. That includes a business, my friends. Businesses grow or they die. Opportunities grow or they die. And so if you're growing, even if you're not there, that's what's so cool about this business. You can do it part-time if you want to, and you can be making progress while you're still doing your job, so you're not taking too much risk. Or you can be one of those people, you know your personality. Some of you is like all in. I'm gonna burn the boats. That's how I'm gonna take the island. That's my personal approach, but it's not right for everybody, but you can do it any way you want. But if you're making progress, that's what you gotta look at. Am I making progress? Not have I gotten to the goal, because watch this. How many of you have ever achieved a goal you worked your tail off for, and then you got there and your brain went, is this all there is? Who's ever had this experience? Raise your hand if you've ever had this experience. Come on, I see you around the world out there. If you don't raise your hand, you lie about other shit too, come on. With all of that, it's a terrible moment, isn't it? Because it's like, I got what I wanted, and like, this all there is? And the reason that happens is either you were going after something that wasn't what you wanted. It's what you thought the world thought you should get. Or it's because you can't sit at the table of success too long or you get bored. It's because we're not made to just succeed. Think of this. Think of a time when you achieved something that you were not, is this all there is? Can you think of a goal or desire that you achieved, and when you achieved it, you're out of your mind like, yes, this is incredible. This is awesome. This is what I dreamed of, or even better than you dreamed of. Who's ever had an experience like that? So it's one of the best experiences, totally euphoric experience. How long did it last? 5 years of that feeling? A year? 6 months? 3 months? 3 weeks? 3 days? 1 day? 1 frickin' hour? How many of it lasted somewhere between 3 minutes and 3 weeks? Somewhere between those two max. Almost everybody in this room is raising their hand, and almost all of you on the screen. So I worked all this way so I could feel good for a few days or weeks? Yes. Because it's not about that. It's about progress. Everything in the universe grows or dies. But if you grow, if you make progress, and you keep making progress, I'm here doing $6 billion a year because I started out with $1,000 trying to figure out how to make things work. I showed up for my first seminar. I bought all these ads. I'm from an era a long time ago with no internet. That's how old I am. I'm 60. So I was like, when I started out, it's like you had to buy all these ads and run all these brochures. It was expensive, and send all these mailers out. I rented the LA Hilton down in downtown Los Angeles. Big ballroom. I thought, I'm gonna get 500 people for this thing. And I charged nothing. I just wanted to give it away. 7 people showed up. True story. And they were spread out all over the room. I'm like, okay, come down to the front row here. And I went for 4 hours on these poor 7 humans like it was a full room, right? But I built my muscle doing that. Now I'm doing billions. It's like, if you keep making progress, you can't believe what you can get, but you're gonna overestimate what you're gonna do in a year, and you're gonna underestimate what you do in a decade. And most people will not stay in a business for a decade, and that's why most people fail. And by the way, somewhere, thank you for the yes, somewhere, hallelujah, man, somewhere, you're gonna arrive in 10 years somewhere. Why not be here at a higher level than you ever dreamed of in your life? Because I can tell you, with multiple years of focus and constantly making progress, there's nothing you can't achieve. Nothing. I don't care what it is. I remember I wrote my first book when I was 24. It's called Unlimited Power. And I was talking about you can achieve anything like this. And I thought, well, I should put like a reality check on it. So I said, you know, if you're 5'1", you're not gonna win the NBA, slam dunk competition. And while I was finishing the book, a guy named Spud Webb, who was 5'1", won the NBA dunking championship over these 7-footers. It was unbelievable, right? So it's amazing what we can do when we get momentum, what we can do when we change our belief structures, what we can do when we bring our energy up. Are you with me? So for you and I, if we're gonna take it to the next level, then we gotta just ask ourselves, what gets in the way? What really gets in the way of us? And what if it's really as simple as learning how to manage my energy, create momentum, see and feel and own what I want, keep taking the action, keep making the progress so I feel so alive. By the way, when you make progress, you feel alive and you have something to give. You can't move somebody when you're not moved. You can't touch somebody if you're not touched by your product, your service, your company, your family. When I say your family, I mean your downline, the people you get to work with. I look at that as family. And if you aren't moved by that, how are you gonna move somebody else? And we all go through phases. And phases are like, you can make it up. Everyone does it differently. Some people, it's 7-year phases. For 7 years, they finally figure out what they're gonna do and they kick ass. The people are successful and they go, and they build it like crazy. And somewhere around 7 years, it's different for everybody. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 10. They go, am I really still doing this shit? Do I really wanna do this? Like, why am I doing this? And they question. Who's ever questioned a relationship you've been in for a long time or a career move that you've been in for a long time where you used to enjoy it and then you question it? Who's ever done this before? Most humans have. And then you know what happens? You either change course and do something new that makes you feel alive, or you recommit and see how incredible you have what it is and you have another 7-year, 8-year, 10-year run. That's part of life. If you make progress, then you're gonna have something to give. If you keep giving, you're gonna build a brand. If you build a brand, I mean you personally, you're gonna build a business. You build a business, you're gonna have the economics, but you're also gonna have the fulfillment that you really want, you think the economics are gonna give you, right? It's not economics by itself. Otherwise, somebody like Anthony Bourdain would still be alive. Or Kate Moss, who killed herself. One of the most successful women in the world, had all the money you could ever imagine. Or can you think of any great comedians that you love dearly who took their own life? Anybody think of one? Who's that? Yes, Robin Williams would be a perfect example. How many of you, watch this, how many of you loved, don't raise your hand if you liked Robin Williams, we've got people from all over the world. Raise your hand only if you loved Robin Williams. Raise your hand if you actually loved this guy, he just lit you up. Look around the room. As I look around the room and on the screens, like 98% of you loved him. There's only 2% assholes that hated Robin Williams, only 2% of them. And I'm like, no, just kidding. I saw that, man. I'm just kidding. I got to meet Robin Williams. I got to know Robin Williams a little bit, just briefly. He made everybody in the world happy except whom? Himself. Write this down, please. Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. This man was a beautiful man. Think how successful he was. He went to Hollywood and said, I want to become an actor, I want my own show. Who says that? Everybody. Who does it? Nobody. Almost nobody. Then he did that. He had his own show. Anybody remember what it was? It was around the world. Mork and Mitty, there's some old people here, clearly, they know the name, I like that. I'm an old person. So bottom line is Mork and Mitty. Now, by the way, it became the #1 show in 10 countries around the world. Then he said, I don't just want the #1 show. I don't just want my own show. He goes, I want to have the most incredible family, and he did that. And then he said, I want to make more money than I could ever spend in 10 lifetimes, and he did that. Then he said, I want to make movies, and he did that. Then he said, I don't want to just make movies. I want to win an Academy Award for being Best Actor, not in a comedy. I want to do it in drama, which is not his skill. And did he do it? Yes, he won an Academy Award for drama. And then he hung himself in his own home. How do you explain that? Leaving his family, scarred for life, to find his body hanging in his bedroom in a noose. Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. He's a good man. I did this TED Talk, which became one of the top 10 TED Talks in history, and it was pretty intense. And afterwards, this group of billionaires took me out to dinner, and they wanted to talk to me about politics and things. It happened to be my birthday. And all of a sudden, I'm in this beautiful restaurant talking to all these people. It's really a heady experience. And then all of a sudden, there's this sound, crash. Somebody jumps up on the dinner table in this very high-end restaurant and starts singing happy birthday to me as a Russian man, then as a Jewish woman, then as an Italian man, and it was this beautiful soul, Robin Williams. And they came over and hugged me and kissed me and said, I'm your biggest fan, and disappeared. Now, I've never lost a single suicide. It's one of my #1 skills. If you have not seen my work, you can go to Netflix, and there's a documentary there called Tony Robbins, I'm Not Your Guru. And in it, they show me in programs where I've never lost one. Knock on wood, doesn't mean I won't. But I know if someone's gonna kill themselves, there's a reason. And the reason is they think life is more painful than dying. And if all you do is change that one belief, it changes the momentum of their whole life. That's why I've never lost one. Could help this man, but I had no idea what was going on. I want you to realize life is short. And I want you to realize that making everybody else happy is not the game. If you grow, you'll have something to give. It'll make you happy, it'll make other people happy. If you make continuous progress, there's no limit to what you can do. But it's not enough just to be successful, and it's not enough just to make money. You and I both know that. So just for a second, let's shake our body out and do what Robin would want. Let's create our body in a good state here just for a second. Stand up, shake your body out just for a second, shake it out. Get that energy out. Make some noise. On 3, shake the building with your body. 1, 2, 3, go. That's it. Make some noise while you're doing it. Face the person next to you and say, I'm rocking this, baby. Give them a high five and grab a seat. Or give a virtual high five if you're by yourself. Grab a seat, feeling strong. And when you sit back down, don't sit like you normally sit. Sit like you're in the command chair of your life. Create more energy sitting than when you were standing. Wake it up. Make some noise! If you feel good, make a fist and say yes. Say yes. Say yes. Now, when you're in your chair now, don't let the energy drop. Train yourself to feel better and better. How many feel better right now than when we started here? Say I. Awesome. Now, so what could screw this up? If it's this simple, if all I got to learn to do is use my body and my mind, put myself in the right state, increase my energy, make sure I'm constantly focusing on progress, and there's lots of people who learn for how to make progress in this business. It's not like you have no role models. They're all around. You got access. So if that's it, what screws it up? Let me put it this way. How many of you, I was invited to speak at TED. I don't know, how many know what TED is? Yeah, they didn't used to have a website. For about a decade and a half, it was a very small group of people, like 300. And they all met in Northern California, and it was a who's who group of people. It wasn't the general population. And they'd bring in all the smartest experts in different parts of the world to speak for 20 minutes, basically 18 minutes, to give them a few days of total expansion of their minds. And who was there? The Google brothers, right? Steve Jobs, all these people were part of this, just a small group of 300. And Quincy Jones, who's a friend of mine, called me up one day and said, Tony, he said, you gotta come speak at TED. I never even heard of it. And I said, my schedule's so full. I mean, I just don't anymore. He said, Tony, trust me. You know me, I wouldn't waste your time. They want you to come speak, come do it. You'll love it. You won't just love the speech, you'll love the people, you're gonna love the thing. So on Quincy's suggestion, I agree. I show up for the event, and the guy who now is the owner, he didn't create it, but he bought it. He didn't know who I really was. And I'm sitting there, and he goes, oh, the motivator has arrived. And I'm not a motivator. I know I've heard that language, and that's because people don't know what to say, because they see, I certainly know how to help people inspire themselves, and I believe energy is critical, but energy without strategy is like a chicken with a head cut off. I'm a strategist by my core. So he goes, the motivators arrived. And rather than trying to even correct him, and he had this rolled his eyes. And then I watched right before me, the speaker was this physicist talking about string theory, which is one of the most complex subjects in physics. And I didn't know it was 18 minutes. So my shortest talk is like 4 days. Like really, I do like 50-hour seminars. Like my excitement to be with you guys is because I know you all own your own businesses and I know you're gonna touch so many lives, but my challenge is I got like a little more than 3 hours, which sounds like a lot, but in my world, I don't do stuff that's less than 3 or 4 days, sometimes 7 days. So the guy goes, you got 18 minutes, and I said, what? He said, you got 18 minutes. Like, how am I gonna add value? You could inspire somebody in 18 minutes, but I wanna help them really change and build some skill or muscle or strategy. And so then I watch this poor woman up there, and people in the crowd are, arms are folded, rolling their eyes and going, this is bullshit. She's teaching string theory in 18 minutes. I mean, really, the crowd was not nice. So he goes to introduce me and he goes, so today we have the motivator, Tony Robbins. So maybe he can motivate you after that string theory talk, right? And so I get up there, and they don't even clap. It's like 2-finger little claps here, a few people out there. Right? We got more in this room, times 10, than I had in that room, right? Way the heck over there.
I say y'all having a good time out there.
So I walk out there to this dead audience, and I say, good morning. I said, I'm Tony Robbins, and I'm not a motivator, right? I said, but listen, I really want to thank you for letting me join you here. And I said, I was just informed I have 18 minutes. And by the way, the guy says to me, in 18 minutes, he goes, we cut off your microphone. Not 10 seconds later, he said, Bono, we cut off his song. We did it to President Clinton. We will sure do it to you. Like, wow, this is really a great place to come speak. And I tease him because we're good friends now. He didn't know. But the bottom line is, I thought, what am I doing? I said, good morning. Nothing. I said, I know you're out there. I can hear your heart's beating. Right? I got a couple giggles. So I thought, what am I going to do to get their attention? And the last thing he said to me is, oh, by the way, I've heard about the jumping thing you do. No jumping here. I said, it's not jumping. He goes, I don't want to hear it. Because it isn't jumping. It's learning to change your physical body. We call your physiology, which I'll explain in more depth in the next few minutes. But the bottom line is, I'm not supposed to have them jump. I got 18 minutes, supposed to add value, so I thought, I need to ask a question. So the question I asked them, I'm gonna ask all of you right now, all of you at home in this virtual room with us, as well as you in this live room. The question is, who here has ever failed to achieve a goal that was really important to you? Who's ever failed to achieve a goal that's really important to you? Now, I asked it then, and I got no hands. And I said, okay, if you want to keep lying, it's okay, but how many people, and finally, I get about 80% of the people raise their hand. So how many of you, let me ask you, how many of you have failed to achieve a goal that was really important to you? Raise your hand, say I. Okay, so why did you fail when you failed? What caused you to fail? What was the reason? Tell me. And that's what I asked them. I want you to tell me now. In this room here, you can yell it out to me. Those you can write on a piece of paper and put it on the screen, I can see it. Okay, not enough commitment. Too lazy. Didn't have the right technology. Procrastination. Not enough action. No belief. I see you on Skype 5 here. Thank you. Gave up too soon. Didn't have enough capital. Fear. Didn't know the right people. And so this is the actual list I'm throwing on the screen that they gave me. And it's very similar to any room that I'll ask. In a big room like this, I'll hear, I didn't have enough what? Time. That's why I failed. I didn't have enough energy. I didn't have enough money or capital. I didn't have the right technology. We didn't have the right education. We don't have the right research. People say, I've heard managers say I had the wrong people. I said, sir, I met your people. They said they had the wrong manager. And then in real time in this room, for sure, what actually happened is it was really dark. It was this theater type setup. And in the front row, I heard this voice say, I didn't have enough Supreme Court justices. And I looked down, it's Vice President Al Gore. And the crowd is, if you know American politics, they're Democrats, because it's Northern California, so everybody stands up and gives him a standing ovation. And if you don't know what I'm talking about from another country, years ago, George W. Bush and Al Gore were running for president, and it was nicked back and forth, and it literally was so close that I had to go to the Supreme Court to make the decision. And Al Gore lost. And so the crowd's cheering for him when he says he didn't have enough Supreme Court justices. So when they stopped clapping, I said, Mr. Vice President, that's one way to describe why you failed to become president. But I would suggest it's an inaccurate one. And the crowd went, ooh. Yeah, just like you. And I said, easy for me to say, I didn't run for president. But I think you know it's true. Because here's the common denominator. All of you, including some of you in this room, told me things, the reason you failed was something was missing. A resource was missing. Are you following me? Resource. Time's a resource. Money's a resource. People's a resource. Products or services are a resource. How many follow what I'm talking about here? Supreme Court justices are a resource. And I said, listen, all of you who are in this room, and I'm sure all of you know at home, if you really trust your heart, your soul knows that resources are never the problem. If you look at the most successful people on earth, they didn't have the resource, they didn't have the money, they didn't have the capital, they didn't have the background. They got it because they were resourceful. Write this down. It's never a resource problem. It's always a resourcefulness problem. If you're resourceful enough, I don't care if you have no money, if you're resourceful enough, if you're what is the ultimate resource that everyone in this room has if you're hungry? Hungry meaning have some form of drive that you've awakened in yourself. The number one resource in humanity is human emotion. If you master human emotion, there's nothing on earth you can't create or do. Human emotion is what starts wars. Human emotion is what creates peace. Human emotion is what gets you laid. Now I got that man's attention. Good, I'm glad to see that, sir. Human emotion is what gets you married. Human emotion is where children come from. Human emotion is the basis of everything with human progress, or lack thereof if people pull back if they have unresourceful emotions. So think about it. Creativity is a resource. If you're creative enough, can you find the answer? Yes or no, guys? Yes or no? Yes or no? Of course you can. If you're committed enough, can you find the answer? If you're determined enough, if you're flexible enough, if you're connected, if you care for people, can you get them to care for you? Of course you can. The ultimate resource, whenever I hear people, oh, I couldn't do it because, they give me a reason, and the reason always a resource so it's missing, and it's not true. And I said, Mr. Vice President, with all respect, none disrespect at all, I watched you do the debate with George W. Bush, and I wanted to vote for you, and you couldn't. You came across arrogant, you came up with low energy, and the crowd started clapping real lightly while I'm talking, right? And his face started going like this. I said, but last night, the night before, he made a movie some of you may have seen called The Inconvenient Truth about the environment. And it was the first time he gave that speech was at TED the night before. And Al Gore was passionate, which I'd never seen before. And I said, last night, even if we disagreed with you, I said, how many of you in this room were moved by him last night? Everybody raised their hand. I said, if you brought that guy to the debate, you wouldn't need Supreme Court justices. And the whole crowd stood up and just thunderous applause. And he came over and kind of high-fived me, gave me a little hug, right? See, because it's not resources, it's resourcefulness. That's the thing that everyone in this virtual room in 150 countries right now, every one of you has. You're the resource of human emotion. You just have to train it. Because some of you, you're just not doing things because you don't want to feel rejected. There is no rejection. You can only reject yourself. People either say no or I'm not interested, and that means you haven't got the value across to them. Or it's not the right time. Or you need a different way of communicating. But it's not something personal. And if you take it personal, you're being unresourceful. And by the way, the whole audience stand, high five, the whole thing there. So let me give you a business example now, because all of you are in business now. Sam Walton started this little company called Walmart. Before Amazon came along, and even with Amazon, It's right there neck and neck as the most dominant retailer on the face of the earth. But here's what you have to know for those of you that are starting out. In 1974, Walmart had 78 stores, just 78. Over there was Sears at 851 and a place called Kmart, 1,326. 2,000 stores between Sears and Kmart, 2,100, 2,200 versus 78. And the market value of Walmart was 65 times smaller than these. Now, if you go back and read the Wall Street Journal or Barron's or financial newspapers from back then in the summer of that year, you'll see they all said sell Walmart. Why did they say sell Walmart? Because they said Sam Walton is out of resources. He doesn't have any more money, capital, plus he built these stores in the South. People in the North don't want shitty little stores like this. They want real nice places. That was the belief. And everybody said sell. But you know what they didn't understand? They didn't understand how resourceful he was. What they didn't understand is, oh my God, this man has the ability to get his clients, meaning his internal clients, his employees, so excited. They get up at 3 in the morning and they drive 2 hours to another state across the line, buy all these products at the lowest price possible, drive across the state lines, get home at the building, stock the shelves, and by 10 a.m. open up with the lowest prices in town. That wasn't money, that wasn't travel, that wasn't networks, that was purely resourcefulness. And guess what? What happened to little Walmart, that little company? Well, think about this. Where's Sears today? Bankrupt. Where's Kmart? Bankrupt. Who's standing tall? Walmart has 11,000 stores around the world. They're doing $500 billion, 476 million is $500 billion in business. Now, you can't live on that, but it's a good start. Right? Check this out. If you had realized this man is resourceful and you'd bet on Sam Walton and not listen to everybody else, and you invested $1,000 one time, not another dime, it's worth $25 million today. $1,000 with $25 million because one man was resourceful. So I want you to get, and by the way, that's called progress, 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 progress till you get to that number. It didn't look very good at times, but he stayed resourceful. How many follow here? So the most important gift for your business is the same important gift for your relationship, for your kids, and for your life. It's be resourceful. It's another way of saying you got to put yourself in a peak state continuously. If you do it enough, it'll be the way you live. It doesn't mean you're hyped out every moment. It just means that's the core of you. That sense of certainty, that sense of excitement, that sense I'm here to deliver. If you do that enough, it's like a muscle. If you don't use a muscle, if you don't use it, you lose it. If I want to build this bicep, how do I do it? You work it. If you take a weight that you can do 100 curls with, you get no muscle, you just keep the muscle you have, because if you don't use it, you lose it. But if I can take a weight I can barely do 10 curls with, barely, which one of those 10 curls gives you the most growth in the muscle? Which one? Which one? Number 13. Because if you're doing 10, see, if you hire a good trainer, what's the purpose of the trainer? Their job is to push you beyond what you do on your own. And you go, oh, I can't even do one more. They go, 5 more, I can't even do one. And sure enough, you do 3 more, and the third one gives you more growth than all the 12 before that. How many know what I'm talking about here? Say aye. So you build these muscles by doing it, not waiting till you feel like it, but you'll feel like it if you put your body in that state first, like we've been showing you. Is this making sense? So let's do this. Stand up if you would, shake your body out, put your notebook down, shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Well, let's do a little test. Here's what I'm really saying to all of you. If you want to be successful in business or in life, the most important thing is to understand the skill of influence. What makes somebody a leader is they're a person of influence, right? Your ability to influence the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, and the actions of another human being makes you a leader. Now, some people call that selling. I call it leadership. It's the same skill. But selling has this connotation for many people. What it really is that you believe in something and you learn how to influence people for their greater good. In business, they call that, being someone's fiduciary. In finance, it's a big word. It means you put their needs ahead of yours. If your clients feel you're truly there for them, not just your commission, you're going to change your business completely. So shake your body out, and let's just remember this. To influence another human being, which is your job. How many buy that leadership is about influence? How many buy that theory, okay? So to influence another human being You have to know what already influences them. I'm gonna say that again. To influence effectively another human being, you gotta know what already influences them. Now, some people are influenced by their children, their family. Some people are influenced by their desire to be famous. Some people are influenced by their desire to serve God. If you try to influence people the same way, you're gonna fail. You have to know what influences them, which makes life much more interesting than just saying the same shit over and over again. It's like getting to know somebody, getting to hear what they need and want. That's what's gonna make you a great leader. Both the people you're bringing into your business or your clients, but also once they're in the business. The more you understand about them, you're gonna know what's gonna move them or not move them. You've gotta become a practical psychologist. Not a proctologist, a practical psychologist, just to be clear. Meaning you don't need to learn all their past, you gotta know what really drives them right now, and you gotta start with who? Who do we gotta influence first if we're gonna be effective? Ourselves, right? So, there are two things that influence us most. I'm gonna throw them on the screen here just for a second for you while you stay standing, shake your body out. Two things influence us most. Number one, moment to moment, what influences you is the state you're in. The mental, emotional state, moment to moment. Who here has ever snapped at somebody and got really mad and overreacted, and it wasn't even about them? You were just in a lousy state and you felt bad about it. Who's ever done this? Yes. Okay. Who? Oh, yeah. Okay, we're not going to talk about that one. Okay. She's losing it over here. How many have ever been snapped at unfairly? Okay, good. Now we got all of them. So the point is, the state we're in affects everything. It's not an excuse because we can change our state. Moment to moment, somebody could say no one moment and get in a different state and say yes. Who's ever had somebody say no to you and then, or better yet, who's ever been to like at a funeral or some horrible place and you're feeling sad and then somebody says something about the deceased or tells a story and you don't want to laugh, but you remember a moment? Who's ever like not wanting to laugh and you felt yourself laughing? Knows what I'm talking about here. You went from depressed to laughing how fast? Because your state changed. So I'm going to show you how to do that consciously, not hoping it shows up. Second, long-term what influences people is their blueprint. Another word for blueprint is their model of the world. Like some people think life is about growing and giving. Some people think life is about getting. Some people think life is about looking good, right? Whatever your model of the world is, whatever your beliefs and values are, that's all we're talking about. We all have a set of beliefs and values that control the way we think and feel. And sometimes our model of the world's outdated, but we keep using it and it's frustrating. So I go in depth in this in more deep seminars, but we'll touch on this right here today as well. But I want to start with what influences you. I'm going to do it with a test. So shake out your body wherever you are in the world. Stand up. If you're sitting, please stand up. You want to use your whole body for this. You at home, I'm seeing some of you still in your chairs. Come on, pop out of your chair. Come on there, you got it, team. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your hands out like this. And when I say now, I want you to bring your hands together like this, okay? When I say now. Ready? Now. Ready? Now. Ready? Now. Ready? Now. Now, no matter how many times you pull your hands apart, keep them together, and put them back together, you'll notice something. If I hadn't mentioned it, you wouldn't have noticed. One thumb is on top of the other. Notice which one it is, your left or your right, okay? Let go. Here we go. Ready? Go. Ready? Go. Ready? Change thumbs. Go. Some of you got a weird look at this one. Raise your hand if it feels a little weird to change thumbs, okay? Now, if changing thumbs feels weird, imagine changing your life. Okay, now watch, let's do it again. Ready, go. And just go back to your normal way. Ready, go. Look at you guys smiling. I'm good at this. I know how to do it the normal way. Ready, go. Now keep your hands together. Extensive research over 40 years around the world in 100 countries that I've done this has taught me something. Which thumb is on top tells me a huge part of your driving force, your belief systems, your blueprint. If your left thumb is on top of your right thumb, it means the driving force in your psychology is a desire for sex and you're a great lover. I saw you change thumbs, sir. I saw you. I saw you. I saw you change thumbs. Good try. Good try. Now, for the rest of you, if it's not your left thumb, but if it's your right thumb on top, if your right thumb's on top, then the driving force in your psychology is intelligence, and you will be absolutely financially free in your lifetime, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this poor bastard here. He's having a thumb fight. Do I want the sex or the money? The sex or the money? Good try, sir. However, if your thumbs don't cross, if they just stay parallel like this, it means you think you're sexy, smart, and rich, but you're none of the three and you never will be. I'm so sorry. Take it up.
Now I'll take you by the hand you another drink. Drink it if you can. Can you spend a little time? Time is slipping away from us, so stay with me. I can make you glad you came.
Come on, make some noise, make some noise. Grab a seat, just want to change your state for a moment. Or a virtual high five. Once again, as you sit down, create more energy sitting than when you were standing. In your chair. Thank you guys now. Make some noise. The winner team. Yamuna. Team Malaysia, JNS. Oh, yes. Another high five real quick for a virtual one. Just make sure when you sit down, you still feel strong. Now, so we've covered a lot. Let's see if we can simplify it even more. If I want, how many of you want extraordinary results in your business and your life? How many want peak results? Say I. And write down, peak results come from being in a peak state. Peak results come from being in a peak state. Let me show you what I mean. Let's throw this little graphic up on the screen here. Now, if you want results of any sort that are new results, a better result than the past, you only get new results if you take new what? Action. You're not going to get new results without new action or new behavior. We all know that, right? So what human beings can produce, the results people can make, like I said earlier, is amazing. What they will do is sometimes disappointing. But the difference is not what they're capable of. It's like what you do is based on the what you're in, my friends, the what? The state. Does that make sense? If you're in a pissed off state, you're not going to behave the same as if you're feeling grateful. If you're feeling worried, it's very different than if you're feeling excited. You have the ability to behave the same way, but you won't. Your state is the controlling factor in your performance. So whether I'm working with the greatest NBA basketball players, or if I'm working with a great fighter like Conor McGregor, or I'm working with a multi-billionaire who's now kind of lost their momentum, all those cases, I know what the problem is. It's their state. And what we got to do is change it. And I want you to know there's a million ways to change your state, but for today's purposes, I'm giving you two primary ones. Number one way is a radical change in the way you use your physical body. How many of you, when you jump, move, use your voice intensely, how many felt much better immediately? If you did, say I. Guess what? That happens for everyone. They go, well, if you do this, you go, oh, this is bullshit, it's not working for me. If you do one thing with your body and another thing with your head, they cancel out. But so it's both what you do with your physiology and what you do with your focus. Focus and your language, they go together. So whatever you focus on, you're gonna feel, even if it's not true. If you're supposed to meet your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or girlfriend at, let's say, 7 p.m. for dinner, and you're meeting them at a restaurant, and you get to the restaurant and it's 7 p.m. and they're not there, tell me what you're feeling. Anybody here, tell me what you're feeling. Pissed off? It's only 7. Worried? Okay, I've heard pissed off and worried. Okay, now by the way, it's the same event. Both people, the person didn't show up at 7. One's pissed off, one's worried. So it's not the event. It's what they've done inside their head. How many follow? Now what if it's 7:30? You've been there since 7, and they've not called, they've not texted, they've not shown up. Now what do you feel? And tell me. Really pissed off, okay. And I hear really worried over here. Some of you are really pissed. What if it's 8:30 p.m.? You've been there since 7. They've not called, they've not texted. Now what are you feeling? This woman says, full. I'm not waiting for the bastard any longer. See, whether you're pissed off or worried has nothing to do with the